and welcome back to Maya's Reviews, a podcast and blog where I review all types of movies and novels. I'm Maya, and thank you for joining me for another movie review today. So today, I was actually not planning on posting this episode till mid to late October, which is crazy. So I was so excited to see this movie, and if you don't know what I'm talking about today, I will be talking about Don't Worry Darling, directed by Olivia Wilde, released 2022. It just came out in theaters, I believe, on September 23rd, and currently it is September 26th. I went and saw it on the 25th, and I just cannot wait to talk about this movie. This will be a spoiler-free review since this movie is just one of those, you need to know as little as possible before going in and seeing it. So I will have a spoiler-free review, even though I'm dying to talk about this movie. So if you have seen it and you want to talk about it with someone, email me, mayagbookrareviews@gmail.com, or DM me on Twitter at @mythebookworm. I'm always open, to discuss movies and novels. So today I will be reviewing Don't Worry Darling, directed by Olivia Wilde. I do want to put out a disclaimer that if you have not seen this movie, like I said, maybe don't listen to this review, even though it is spoiler-free. I feel like it's best to go in either thinking, for me, I went in thinking it was going to be really bad. I have been looking forward to this movie for a long, long time, not just because of Harry Styles, but also because of Florence Pugh. I love, love, love Florence Pugh in every single movie I've seen her in. I mean, she's just a phenomenal actor, so I was really looking forward to this. And then I heard some very negative reviews, especially about the acting and the plot and how it didn't make sense. But this is a psychological thriller, which is one of my favorite subgenres of thrillers, and so I was super excited for this, but I had heard it was bad, and I went in kind of thinking that. I went and saw this with my 4 friends early on a Sunday morning, and when I tell you I could not function after seeing this movie, it was so good. Some quick content warnings for this movie. There is death, violence, alcohol usage, suicide, and some other things. So I would, if you have specific triggers, I would look up what those might be. But like I said, a lot of this you need to know as little as possible, but I completely understand, not wanting to go in completely blind. So just be aware of that there are some disturbing topics in this movie. Don't Worry Darling was directed by Olivia Wilde and released by Warner Brothers Pictures on September 23rd, 2022. It is a thriller mystery drama, definitely more of a psychological thriller, like I said earlier, and the average rating on Letterboxd is 3.2 out of 5 stars. The movie stars Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde, Gemma Chan, Kiki Lane, Nick Kroll, and Chris Pine. The MPA rating is R, and the movie is 123 minutes long. Now, the budget was $35 million, and so far the box office earnings are $30.2 million, but as I said, when I'm recording this movie has only been out for 3 days, so I'm not very surprised. Hopefully, they'll earn back a little bit more, so. Now, I want to say right off the bat that none of my opinions on this movie are swayed in the slightest by any of the drama surrounding the movie. I feel like that's a huge talking point when it comes to this movie, and I really feel like it has nothing to do with the movie. Sure, there's a lot of things that can be pointed out that are mentionable and worthy of attention, but I really think when it comes down to it, Personally, I believe a lot of that was a publicity stunt to get people in seats, which is smart if it was. If not, I don't want to get involved, and I just want to say right now that my review of this movie is based purely on my opinions of the movie itself, not necessarily the people involved or, anything surrounding the movie. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I'm going to start off talking about the acting in this movie, since that has been a huge point of criticism that I've seen, especially on TikTok and especially of Harry Styles. Personally, I think that Harry Styles did an excellent job, especially for being in not that many movies before this, and when you compare Harry Styles to Florence Pugh, I don't think anyone can compare to Florence Pugh. She is just an amazing actress. But Harry Styles did an amazing job, and so did everyone in the cast. The characters were very believable, very realistic, but yet unsettling, which I really liked, since this is a psychological thriller. And so I think it really plays into that. It really does well with the psychological part of this movie. As I said, there are some disturbing parts that were phenomenal. They made me uncomfortable, and that's what a psychological thriller is supposed to do. Like I said, the acting was just, personally, I saw no problem with it. I thought it was great. I think a lot of the clips that have been shared on the internet criticizing Harry Styles, among other people, have been taken out of context, and it makes sense when you see the film. I don't think there's really an issue when you see the film with the acting. I just think people have taken it out of context or aren't taking Harry Styles seriously as an actor, which I think is honestly really sad for him, because he did a great job in this movie. And so I think he deserves the recognition that he should be getting, rather than the criticism. Because obviously it's okay to criticize people, but I feel like it's been taken to a point where no one is viewing him, like as a serious actor. And that sucks. And I think he really deserves some recognition for how well he played his role. The plot itself was unpredictable, but phenomenal. Everything, I've seen a lot of people say that this movie is confusing. I will admit that it is to an extent, but I feel like it is purposely confusing. There are a lot of things throughout the movie where you're not exactly sure where that's coming from or what that means, but that is always the case with a psychological thriller, and as always, it comes together in the end. The plot made sense, and I actually really enjoyed it. I did not expect what was happening. I thought it was original and a disturbing plot, which I really, really liked. There is a couple of kills in this movie, not very gory. Obviously, this isn't a horror movie, and I think that's where a lot of people came in and were disappointed with this movie, is that they were expecting a horror movie. I was viewing this from the start as more of a psychological thriller, which I love those, so I was not disappointed in the least. If anything, I was surprised by this movie. I had expected a train wreck, and honestly, this is one of my favorite movies, if not the favorite movie that I've watched that came out this year. The score in this movie was absolute perfection. I think the score and the cinematography, to be honest, were perfect for this movie. The cinematography goes along with the plot, and it has somewhat of this dreamlike quality to it, especially at the beginning of the movie. And as you get more and more into the movie and the plot becomes more and more clear to you, the cinematography also reflects that, and I thought that was brilliant. I think the attention to detail in this movie is phenomenal. There was not a single thing that I can really complain about in terms of the plot. I think a lot of it was excellent. I don't think any part was unnecessary. Any part that is considered unnecessary, I think, was fun, and if anything, just added to the movie rather than taking away. Like I said, the score was perfect, because the movie has this 1950s vibe to it, and the score perfectly reflected that, and I really, really enjoyed it. I will say that this movie is surprisingly heartbreaking in a way. I mean, I was very upset by the end of this movie, but I think that that's the intention. It wasn't a bad upset. It's a movie that elicits emotion. I feel there's a lot of things in here that are very disturbing and very just wow, like in your face, and it doesn't click until later in the movie. And I really, really enjoyed the plot twists. I really enjoyed the acting. Like I said, everything just came together to create this perfect ensemble of thrills and terror, and I really enjoyed this movie. Like, I don't know what else I can say about it besides that I enjoyed it. I was literally stunned, like speechless. During the final act of the movie, I was literally, my eyes were just glued to the screen. I think I mentioned I went and saw this with 3 of my friends. There were 4 of us, and there were a couple other people in the movie theater, and the tension in the room was very real. There were 2 lovely older ladies next to me and my friends who were just entranced by this movie, and I mean, I cannot blame them if they happen to listen to this. I love both of them. They were so nice, and honestly, seeing their reactions to the movie was hilarious, but also just like reaffirmed my own feelings about this movie. I honestly don't think there is a single thing wrong with this movie. There is not a single part that I did not enjoy, not a single part that I would change, and I think it really sucks that it's getting the criticism that it's getting. And I've never watched a movie where I was like, how is it getting this low of a rating? Like, I genuinely do not understand. That's completely fine if that's your opinion, but I loved this movie. And like I said, it's probably my favorite movie that has come out this year. Probably the best that I've seen in terms of plot and acting and characters and just overarching themes. I mean, the theme of this movie is kind of dropped in little hints throughout, and I think it does a really great job of showing you the underlying plot without actually showing you. You can sense that there's something there, but you don't know exactly what it is until it's revealed to you. And I thought that was great because this movie is so good at building the tension and making you want to know more. All 4 of us, me and my 3 friends, just, like I said, we're in awe of this movie by the time it ended. I don't know how I functioned the rest of the day. I don't know how I'm functioning now. It truly is just one of those movies. And I haven't had many experiences like this where I am literally just, I have no words. I don't know how I'm able to do this review right now because I was just in awe. Like, it is such a good movie, and like I said, I genuinely do not understand how it's getting rated this low. I don't understand how someone wouldn't like it. I can see how someone could have some issues with it or want something else from it, especially if you go in expecting this to be a horror movie. I think you would be disappointed, obviously, because this is not a horror movie. This is very much a psychological thriller. And another point I wanted to hit is that I've seen a lot of people talking about how it's confusing or some things are unexplained. And I feel like a lot of the things that are unexplained, quote unquote, are actually explained in the movie. And so I'm not exactly sure why people are confused. There's definitely some things in this movie that aren't explained, but I feel like they're at least implied. It's not a hard movie to grasp. I think throughout the movie I was seeing it when I was watching this movie. I definitely was leaning more towards, this is going to be one of those movies where I have to watch an explanation video. But once the big reveal happens, I completely understood it. But like I said, there are some things in this movie that are unexplained, and I think that's the point, is that the main character, some of the things that she had to deal with go unexplained for her, and I feel like that's a part of her journey, is that not everything is going to be explained to her, and she's not going to be able to cope with this, because what she went through is traumatizing, and it is something that I would not want to deal with, and I don't think anyone would want to deal with, except maybe Stella because of Harry Styles. But you know what, Stella, love you. I don't know. There's nothing I can complain about with this movie, and I have not really felt that in a long time. I mean, I have had movies where there's nothing I can complain about. It's, it's a technically perfect movie, but I just did not connect with it. It's just not a movie I enjoy. This movie blew me away by just being perfect in all sense of the word. The plot, characters, score, cinematography, the attention to detail, every little thing for me was perfect. And then I also just really enjoyed watching this movie. So for all of those reasons, I gave this movie a 5 out of 5 stars and a like on Letterboxd, because love this movie. It'll probably be added to my favorite movies of all time list, honestly, because I will say this right now. I have never walked out of a movie theater and immediately wanted to watch the same movie again. Like, I've never had that experience. I've never went and watched a movie twice in theaters, and I'm genuinely contemplating it. It was so, so good. I'm definitely buying this one when it comes out, digitally or on DVD, because I just had such a great time watching this movie. It, like I said, it just left me in awe. It is so psychologically thrilling, which is why it's a psychological thriller. And it's just one of those movies. I love, love, love thrillers and mysteries. And it was just the perfect combination of all those. It had that little bit of psychological horror in there because it was so disturbing. But I think really where this movie succeeds too is that it is psychologically disturbing without being in your face about it. It's so subtly disturbing that it's in the back of your mind the entire time. You know something is going on and you're disturbed, but you don't know exactly what is going on. And I feel like that reflects what the character is feeling in the movie. And so I think, I don't know, it's just something about this movie. I think it's brilliant. It shot past my expectations. I expected the worst from this movie after it came out and I heard all the reviews. And honestly, I wish I had gone into this movie knowing even less than I had already known. I had watched the trailer and I had seen reviews of it and some TikToks. And honestly, I wish if anything, I think hearing it being talked about so negatively made me like this movie more, because I went in expecting so little from it and it just exceeded my expectations. I love this movie. I love Don't Worry Darling. I think it's a brilliant and perfect movie, honestly. And like I said, no hate to you if you disagree with me. I'd love to hear why you think this isn't a perfect movie, because I just truly don't understand and I want to know why. But yeah, that is the end of my review of Don't Worry Darling, directed by Olivia Wilde. 5 out of 5 star movie, and I really want to watch it again. I'm contemplating going back, but I want to save my money for when Smile comes out at the end of this month, so I can review that in October for you guys. But that's, like I said, that's the end of my review of Don't Worry Darling. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please follow and share this episode with your friends. Go check out my podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm all over the place. You can find me on YouTube even. Leave a comment on my YouTube channel, just Maya's Reviews, letting me know your opinion of this movie if you've seen it. If you did enjoy this episode and this review too, please check out my blog, Maya's Reviews, at mayagreviews.wordpress.com, where I review books. You can also find me at Maya the Bookworm on Twitter, Goodreads, BookBub, and Book Sirens. I'm also on Tumblr at Maya Reviews. If you want me to review your book or want to come on the podcast to discuss a novel or movie, maybe even just reach out to me, you can email me at mayagbookreviews@gmail.com. I do ask that if you are reaching reaching out in regards to a review request, interview, collab, blog tour, or anything publicity related, that you check out my publicity request page on my blog first and then email me. Thank you so much for listening, and go watch Don't Worry Darling. I really, personally, I don't think you will be disappointed, but maybe you will be. I don't know. Let me know. Go watch Don't Worry Darling.